Yes, ladies and gentlemen, we are back. I know what you were thinking. I thought they canceled the show. No, the show is still here. Still the Hind Outside Podcast, Season 2, Episode 1. Your boy Dante Mom's back in the building. I got two co-hosts with me today. Courtney, we all know it's hockey season, so she'll be here when she can. But for the opening episode this season, we're gonna have the three of us. Let's bring in my guys, Malik and Sid. How y'all feeling?
I'm feeling a little better than Sid today. I already know. I'm happy to be back with baseball, but yeah, it's not both. I mean, but the Rangers took the L2, Mets took the daytime L. 3-1 or Rangers won the series, so I guess I can smile a little bit more than my boy, but I'm doing good.
I'm doing great. I miss baseball. I missed the Mets. I missed hating the Mets. I missed everything about baseball. Like the WBC was it was like a little microdose. It was one of those things where I was just like, why am I waking up at 6 a.m. to watch Samurai Japan put 10 runs on Korea, bro? Like
Because for the love of the game, that's
I
why.
love it, bro.
That's why
Like
you did it. I'm about to say it. You can tell by my face. I've been outside in this pollen for the Braves. They were home. They had a two series. They went 4-2. We'll get into that later. But I mean, it's definitely beautiful that baseball is back, man. It's been some great weather here in Atlanta. Last night it was one of those balmy 76-degree nights. Great baseball game. Unfortunately the Braves lost, but they did wrap up the series today. But man, it's good to be back with y'all. We've been talking about this for a minute. We wanted to get into it during the WBC, but I felt like things were going so fast, and we wanted to make sure that we were prepared and we were really doing everything that we plan to do, everything that we love to do when it comes to talking about this great game of baseball. So let's get right into opening week. It's a great week. As we've been saying for the past 2 minutes, the game is back. We're back. But let's talk about the team that won it all and the team that everybody hates, the Los Angeles Dodgers. As usual, they are the favorites to win. This would be a three-peat. We know baseball is unpredictable. We know there are a lot of teams out there that will challenge them. There will be some things that happen on that roster this season. We see how it happens every year, especially with the pitching staff. But we know, nothing is set in stone in this great game that we love. So, Sid, I'm gonna start with you, man. Do you think the Dodgers can actually repeat as champions? Like, it's always easy to go with the field, but the Dodgers make it actually difficult to go with the field.
yeah. I think it is really easy to say like the Dodgers will repeat. Shohei's pitching. Like if Shohei pitches, Shohei hits. If Shohei hits, you win. And for all the hubbub of the season, I think the Dodgers address their needs, right? They have a lot of infield, they have a lot of versatility, but they did need a big bat in the outfield. Teoscar Hernandez, not defensively much these days, at least, but he is still worth like 35, 40 homers, maybe. But then you add a right fielder named Kyle Tucker. You pay him $60 million to do the thing. And, is it upsetting that the Dodgers can pay the premium every single time? Yeah, but like, that's kind of what we want, right? Like, that's what we want baseball to do. And last year they kind of had a closer, kind of didn't for a lot of times. What did they do? They went out and got the best available closer on the market in Edwin Diaz from the Mets. So it's really hard to say no about the Dodgers repeating. Like, it's really hard to say no.
Malik, how you feel, bro?
I mean, yeah, Sid took a lot of the words out of my mouth. I think adding Edwin Diaz in the back end of the bullpen, best closer that was available on the market, that's key for a team that, they missed Vesia in the playoffs. Trinan had his stint with injuries. Kirby Yates had the crazy year in, 2024, and then wasn't much of himself. So getting him is big. And then, I mean, just greedy, adding Kyle Tucker to that fold. I think they can three-peat, but we did see last year, a team, the Toronto Blue Jays, I always thought was one of the best hitting teams in the AL. They had some guys step up on their pitching staff, and we saw them take it to an extra inning game 7. So do I think that they are beatable? Yes. Would I bet my money on the Dodgers? Probably yes. But I do think that it is, like we were talking about earlier, some teams that are going to be able to compete. For the start of the season, the NL West might not have that squad. We've seen them be one of the top divisions for the last few years. The Giants aren't too far removed from a 100-win season. Padres have had some great years. Diamondbacks were in the World Series a few years ago, but a bit of a slow start for them guys in the first week. But maybe one of the teams from the East. And we'll see about the Cubs. Maybe we can get them. NL, I think they have it, wrapped up. But maybe another team from the American League could sneak in.
Yeah, I mean, and we can't forget about the Yankees. We know they were a disappointment, but that is still a very, very dangerous team, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun baseball. Dodgers are about to play in a second. They play the Diamondbacks today, so I mean, it should be a good game. But I expect dubs
Crazy
in the
Yankee
chat.
stat that
Yep.
that I came across the other day. The Yankees never started their season with 2 shutout wins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, right? Like,
No, I mean Max Fried. I know, the Braves have had their issues with the pitching staff, and that's one guy I wish they would have paid because Max Fried, has been a horse, and he's continued to be dominant. And they're actually playing the Guardians, excuse me, the Dodgers. But no, the Yankees have definitely, you love to see that. That's something you love to see. But let's go. We're gonna stay on the West Coast. We're gonna go up the coast a little bit. We're gonna go to San Francisco. New manager. Tony Vitello did a hell. I know a lot of people don't watch college baseball. SEC baseball is a gauntlet. He did a great job at Tennessee. Like what you have to tip your cap there, but this is a completely different ball game. And so far, there've been some interesting comments out the gate. For it to be game. When they played a few series now, but after the first few games, especially 0-2, he said there was a lot of try hard in the room, and then some of the veterans took offense to that, rightfully so. And lately it seems like he's trying to dial it back a bit, and he's really starting to realize that it's not the same as coaching a bunch of kids. You're in a room full of professionals, and now this is a completely different ball game. So Malik, I'll start with you. What do you think about Vitello at just the hire itself? I know we talked about it a little bit a few months ago, but the hire itself, and do you think this is something that's gonna linger throughout this season, or is it gonna be a quick learning curve for him?
Man, growing up, Buster Posey, one of my favorite catchers to watch. I think it was definitely a Hail Mary toss to get a manager from college, despite his success, to get a college manager to manage a major league team. Now, in doing so, he brought in some of the best advisors you could have if you are an inexperienced manager. He gets to talk to Dusty Baker. He gets to talk with Bruce Bochy, former Texas Rangers manager, and he has Buster Posey, a guy who's won three championship rings under his belt. But like you said, especially from the pitching staff, a guy like Robbie Ray, who's been around the block, who's been on teams who they haven't made the playoffs till the last game of the season. Like, yeah, he
Young winner, Robbie
and
Ray?
when you're say again.
Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray?
Back in the day before Jordan,
Right. Yeah, Cy Young winner, Robbie Ray?
When he came in.
Blue Jays, yeah.
That's some guys.
And in college sports, I definitely do feel like a loss is more one singular game. There's less games, obviously, on the schedule. Is more scrutinized than the major league game. So I do think that, him losing and the pressure of being shut out. I mean, they didn't get anything going on opening day. I think that pressure kind of got to him. Do I think it'll be a fast learning curve for him? No. He's still shuffling around his lineup. Got to find that. I think he's still got to find a way to manage his bullpen for 162 days. So I don't think it'll be an easy learning curve for him. I also don't. I'm not too high on that Giants roster period right now. But in terms of him finding his footing, it'll come. And I mean, Posey, he's going to have to ride with the decision. But like I said, when you have Dusty Baker, you have Bruce Bochy, who are available to you at all times, I think that helps it a lot more than a guy who would not have those two assets next to him.
No, it's facts. Sid, how you feeling?
Just about the same, really. There is the Dan Hurleys of the world. And I don't really think the Dan Hurleys of the world fit in baseball. That kind of seems like the Tony Vitello kind of thing is just like, what can I get from you by talking? What can I get from you by trying to light a fire under you? What can I get from you by making you feel a little bit lesser? And I guess that's like a coaching tactic for some. That's not going to work in the MLB. Not only is it like the conflation of egos, it's people just don't like being talked to like that. There's a difference between a grown man and a kid who is trying to soak in knowledge and things like that. Not to say that these players are not soaking in knowledge, but when you transition from college sports to major league sports, um, your situational awareness is certainly a bit lesser than the players who have been able to, carve careers for themselves. And is he in over his head? Absolutely not. There's a learning curve and everything, but like hell of a way to get out of the gate, calling out your pitcher for trying too hard. Um 162 days of baseball or games of baseball, right? Like it's Wednesday, April 1st. Like we're gonna run into stuff like that, but like hell of a way to start.
Yeah, no, that's how I feel. I think he's definitely they have some veterans around him on that coaching staff that are going to be able to coach him up. You don't you rarely talk about coaching up a coach, but when you have a situation where a guy has absolutely no major league experience, it's not the same as someone who came in, was a bench coach, learned a little bit, became a hitting coach, something, anything of the sorts before he became a manager. He came straight from the collegiate level, so it's more so of a corporate hire in a sense. A guy was, we saw him do this job over here. Let's see if he can do it over here. So, it was definitely a risk, definitely a very Silicon Valley type move. And we'll see if it pays out for them. But, I agree that will definitely be, a learning curve up there. And it's just a matter of how well he can check. And I've compared it to this. I was talking to some people in the press box about it. It's a lot like in football when that offensive coordinator, who is the genius and the guru, gets the head coaching job. And he always thinks he's the smartest person in the room, and then that backfires. He's like, even like guys like Adam Gase, Matt Nagy. I think he just got another job. But when you just have those situations where they, you may be great at what you do, but it doesn't mean that once you get in that role, you're going to necessarily just get in there and smooth sailing, and it's just like you left off at your previous spot. So it's going to be interesting to see with Tony. I think if he had, I feel like he will have the wherewithal to say, you know what. Let me back off a bit and let me just, obviously I want to coach. I want to coach the way I coach, but at the same time, we're dealing with a bunch of professionals. These aren't kids anymore. So, certain things you're going to have to just check at the door. It's not going to play. So, we're going to keep our eye on that definitely for sure. Speaking of keeping our eye on, just in general, bro, not only first week, but just going forward throughout the season. I want to hear some people, some teams, players that you all are looking at. I'll start, the Chicago White Sox. Mooney has been as advertised, gets on base, hits home runs. The rest of the team, not so much. Kyle Teal, I hate that he got hurt during the World Baseball Classic with that hamstring injury, but that's a guy that I will have my eye on. But results haven't been, I don't know what I should say what I expected. I'm sure other people expected these results from the White Sox. But Mooney, I've definitely been not pleasantly surprised. I always felt like, a lot of people were overzealous with the with the scouting and saying, oh well, he can't handle major league velocity. I just think that was the truth. He was hurt last year, but I think this is still a kid who can really hit the ball, and he's gonna give you some pop from the left-handed side. So that's the guy I'm really looking at. Malik, I'll go to you.
I'm gonna go with another guy in the American League Central, Mikael Garcia. Sort of had a coming out party last season. Cousin of Ronald Acuna Jr. Makes his first career All-Star team. Had the drama. What was that? I think that was 2 playoffs ago when he had the drama with Jazz Chisholm. He had a solid showing against the Yankees, and then he comes and he wins the MVP of the World Baseball Classic. I think he put himself in position to have a shot at starting at third base, being one of the names on the forefront that people realize that could start at third base in the American League All-Star game. Kansas City, that lineup, a good mix of. You got Sal as a vet, but they have the young vets as well, and Vinny, Bobby, and Mikael. And I think Mikael being good, especially with the bullpen that they have, Carlos Estevez not looking too hot to start the game, quick blown save by what's that? I was in Atlanta. Dom Smith hit the grand slam off already on the IL.
All praise to him in his situation too.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Dom.
Man, shout out to Dom.
Yeah, big shout out to Dom, man. Oh god.
But if Kansas City is going to be good, the pitching staff I don't think Cole Reagans was a little too hurt last year. We didn't see Cy Young, Cole Reagans like we thought we were going to see. So with some questions in the pitching staff, I want to follow what Miguel Garcia does this season, see if he can take that lead.
Yeah, no. Sid, what New York Met are you looking at this year that you want to talk about?
Yo, first off, that's so much hate. Like, oh my god.
I'm saying I have a guy that I could have talked about.
I have a guy.
Could have talked about him. He's
bro.
the truth.
So on my list actually is
Drake Baldwin.
Roman Anthony. I saw him on opening day, sitting in left field.
Okay.
That boy is built like a monster. It makes no sense. Like he's literally built like a triangle with muscles. Like he looks like Cam Newton almost. And I just had no clue that he looked like that. I'm gonna actually stay on the south side because why not? Colson Montgomery, you are on watch. You are actually one of my favorite players to like. Colson Montgomery, you are on big watch. Like I am watching your success so close this year. Carson Bench.
Okay.
He's a Met. People are saying he's supposed to be like Jackson Merrill. I just want him to be half as good as Brandon Nimmo. So but he's the first David Stearns guy. He is I think his last like 11 ABs, he was flirting with like a 100-mile-per-hour exit velo on every single batted ball. It's hard to not be excited about new prospects when you have a team that is supposed to compete. And then Ryan Pepio. I am interested to see what Tampa does, but they're back home. Like they're not in a home run friendly park anymore. And so when you're able to change where you are and everything without like changing team scenery and stuff like that, I'm all for it. So that's my list. But yeah, it was Roman Anthony, Carson Bench, Colson Montgomery, Michael Garcia, and Ryan Pepio. Those were my guys to watch this year.
Okay. All right. Malik, who you got?
I got one more for you. Cam Smith, Houston Astros right fielder, former infielder. He was infielder at Florida State, but moved to the outfield, playing with the Astros. Had a home run against Roman Anthony and the Boston Red Sox Tuesday night. They ended up winning the series. I can't remember if I think they swept Boston actually. Big dude, high expectations for Houston. Hell, he was the guy from the Kyle Tucker trade. And with such a crowded infield, he had to go out to the outfield, even more crowded now that they have Carlos Correa on the team. But he's a big power bat, gives him some extra depth in the lineup along with guys like Jordan. Of course, they still got Altuve, and Carlos Correa he's been cooking early too. So keep your eyes out on Cam Smith. I mean, I know we love black baseball, and he's a good representation of why the game is good in that facet right now.
Yeah, no, definitely. But it's gonna be a great season. It's a lot of talent out here. It's unfortunate that as we transition to our next topic, all of this might come to a screeching halt. It might all be over soon. We need to soak up all the baseball you can because there's a very, very strong chance that there will be a lockout. We have both sides talking about war chests and how many hundreds of millions and billions of dollars they have saved to say, AKA, we can wait this out just like you can. And it's going to be very, very interesting. So, I'm going to combine two questions into one because, obviously the answer at this point about the lockout, is it looming? The answer is yes. We all know that. So I'll say, how important is the salary cap in this discussion? Because for me, it feels like this is the number one reason we're going to have this lockout. Is why you see a lot of teams now locking up a lot of their prospects to these 7-year, 8-year deals with the team option for the 9th year, because those will obviously be grandfathered in. And the more billionaires start to make moves as if something is already done, you have to feel like the reason they start talking about this $5 billion war chest is they're going to dig in and they're going to say, you're not coming back until you agree to a salary cap. How we play the salary cap, that'll go into the negotiations, but I feel like it's going to get to a point where they just legit dig in and say, either you take the salary cap or hey, you can go to the KBO or wherever, but you're not gonna play here. So, Sid, I'm gonna go to you first. Um, we know the lockout is real. Are these salary cap concerns real? Are they legitimate?
That's such a tough one because as more and more private equity gets into baseball, and I'm gonna actually, Malik, you want to go first because I'm gonna sit on my soapbox for this one because y'all know me and the sociological stuff. Like when it comes to like the billionaires in baseball, I think I have a lot to say, and I
Okay.
don't want to take time away from y'all. So Malik, you want to handle that first, bro?
Yeah, and I'll keep my answer short. I think
Appreciate that.
I agree with you. I think that's what the lockout's going to come down to is they're going to have to take the salary cap now. The job of the players, who I know the players of the past are not going to be happy with them taking that salary cap, is to get it as high as possible. I saw the projected cap, and I want it was it 240 million, 260, something like that.
It was like 260 with a floor of 160.
Yeah, there were only like 10 teams that even hit that mark last season. That's not going to work. I think the players need to do as strong of a job as making that as high as possible if they do come to the lockout. But I mean, I've already heard from a few players. I've heard Josh Bell, the Bryce Harpers. They're ready to go to bat, and we saw it last year. The big butt guys. Who was it? Sinsu Chu paid everybody's salary in the minor leagues. We're gonna have to be ready to do stuff like that. I know the last lockout was coming after COVID, but now we have the pitch clock involved. We have pitch com involved. We have a automated strike zone that still, we have challenges now, but is that going to be a main become an every pitch type deal? So yeah, in short, and I'll let Sid get on it, but yeah, that salary cap is going to be the base of where it starts, but the players, they have to get it as high as possible. And I mean, I don't want to say they only have one chance, but this is your best chance to get it as high as possible. You don't know what's going to happen. We hope we never see another lockout 10 years down the road, but whatever does happen in this offseason is going to affect players who are 10 years old right now.
No, absolutely. No, Sid, we're gonna let you ISO, bro. Go ahead.
Yeah, bro. I think with just so much private equity in baseball and stuff like that, it gets to a point where the conversation is the salary cap necessary or real or anything like that. It gets to a point where we have to say like how much private equity is good for baseball. Are we allowing baseball players to maximize their dollar amount based on this? And the answer feels like no. But I do think that if the players can strike something like maybe 350 $360 million like cap, you have to let that go. But I think there's just so many other things at stake here as well. We have the fate of minor league players, we have the fate of Latin players, we have so many different fates of people at hand, and we are posturing the lockout as a salary cap conversation, which that doesn't feel right, right? It feels like we are talking about how much money can these owners get from these players and everything, while still, taking maximum talent and no longer paying the premium. We're trying to pay a little bit less now, and so the lockout unfortunately is coming, and I don't think there's a way to stop that. I don't think there's anything that we can do as fans. I don't think there's anything that the players can do, because I think now we've let so much private equity into baseball that we are no longer effectively running passion projects. We're hiring project managers now. And again, the Mets, they're a part of this problem. Make no mistake. Steve Cohen is absolutely a part of this problem, because there's no such thing as a good billionaire, no matter how much you want to believe Bruce Wayne exists. It's not a real thing. But yeah, man, that lockout is coming, and it's happening hard. It's going to be bad for a lot of players, and my biggest concern again is not the salary cap. It's the fate of these players who get these handshake deals at like age 12 and 13 who were a very 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 big part of the last lockout. And we saw it with the WBC with insurances and things like that, and we saw it with the WBC and just how baseball was celebrated. um we're we're talking two completely different languages now. I think that with the Latin American players and minor leaguers, we're talking about baseball as a passion, and then when it comes to the major leaguers and America, we're talking about baseball as something completely different. And it don't feel great. I can tell you that much. It does not feel great. It makes it really hard to root for America during the WBC. It makes it even harder to wake up and really, want to take in baseball every day. But here we are.
Yeah, bro, it's very real. That's just where we are. It's much more business oriented in the game of sports, and I think somebody put it really well. And this is about basketball, but this you could just can relate to owners across all sports. They talk about Davis, the difference between David Stern and Adam Silver. They said David Stern was the commissioner of an ownership group full of millionaires. Adam Silver is the commissioner of an ownership group full of billionaires. So the conversations are a little different. The cooperation and the collaboration is a little different. It's like we have our cash cow already, and now we're going to trim fat and do X, Y, and Z. And in a lot of ways, the fans do suffer. The teams, like, we talk about my White Sox all the time, and there's another team he owns, but we talk about the way they spend and what they will and will not spend, and the results in the field have shown. So, it's just one of the unfortunate realities of sports. And now it's just more prevalent. You see it again with the tanking in the NBA, to the point where now they're trying to make new rules to prevent tanking. But it's like these people come from a world where if you have an asset, the best way is to, go bottom up, tank it, pump and dump. We're going to bring it back. So that's what they do. So, I mean, it is our reality. It's our world. And, unfortunately, that's gonna probably bring baseball to a screeching halt for a second.
I
But
also the gambling conversation as well. That has to be one in like in the CBA, right? Like,
yeah, it has to. Yeah, it'll probably be these, because these guys are gonna be banned for life regardless. But I think it'll be more set in stone. But I think it's something you have to do something. There have to be guardrails, because even with the Shohei thing, like, we kind of brushed that aside. It was a major story for a little bit, but that's still pretty insane to think about, and the way that all transpired.
To this day, like,
bro, you're talking about one of the best pitchers in the game in his respective field as a closer, getting a check already
in the past 4 years, like,
and yeah. So it's
again,
crazy.
It's those handshake deals that we are not seeing that impact. And look at how they massacre my boy, man. Oh my god. Like, we've worked so hard for baseball to get this far. Like, we're finally here. Like, people woke up to watch the WBC, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like, people are talking about Olympic baseball in 2028. What?
Yeah.
The last time I remember hearing about Olympic baseball was David Wright in 2006.
Yeah, you're right, bro. It's unfortunate.
Like, they did it. We did it. We did it.
I'm about to tear it all down. But, like, maybe when it comes back, we're gonna go real quick into the WBC. Like we said, it was an amazing tournament. The game was on full display. The way that the entire world has embraced baseball and put their own little twist on it. America did fall to Venezuela. Some questionable decisions by our manager, Mr. Mark DeRosa. But more than anything, what were your overall feelings about the tournament? I know we all love baseball, so we're gonna love it regardless. But I'll go first, and I'll sound like a parrot because a lot of people have said this, but the fact that we can't find a way to capture some of this energy for the Miami Marlins is absolutely pathetic. There's no way. There's no way. I'm not saying you get a team full of Dominican All Stars and all of that, even though it would make sense for them to, try to spend on a Juan Soto or someone of the ilk that will put butts in the seats. But I just don't get it. I just do not get it. I know people always talk about the neighborhood and how little Havana is this, that, and the third. But bro, I'm not trying to hear that. I'm not trying to hear that. You have plenty of stadiums or plenty of teams where if a team is good, people show up. We see that time and time again. So that's one city. That's one thing that even as I'm watching the WBC and it's the whole world on display, I'm like, wow, the Miami Marlins really just can't get right. And like this is a team that's won 2 World Series. So you have a little bit of history to cling on to, a little bit of, reason to say, hey guys, we've actually got a couple banners up here and we're gonna spend some money and get some more. But it's just that the ownership groups haven't cared enough to do that. So that was one of my, quick, thoughts about the WBC outside of the obvious, which was the tournament was amazing. Malik, I'm gonna go to you.
Yeah, I got to experience the WBC this season. Took the 3.5 hour drive down to Houston. I wish I got to see some better games. I don't want to be sound ungrateful, but that first week of games with the U.S. and Britain and U.S. and Brazil, those weren't really as competitive as the U.S. versus Mexico. And then, I mean, shout out to Team Italy, a team that I saw when I got there. I read their lineup, and I'm like, man, it's a lot of major leaguers.
I would say, you mean the Team USA 19U team?
Oh yeah, the Jersey squad. They did that thing out there. Just a few points I have. I don't see how we have this tournament in the middle of the season. I get people would be more built up for it, but I also look at the Detroit Tigers, a team who thinks they're being playoff contention. Do you and Scooble, even if it was this year, and Scooble's on his last year of his deal, how do they? What's the difference of risking him before the season versus in the middle of the season? And then also you have you get your players out there, but you also have 200 plus major leaguers who are just going to sit out for 9 days. I don't know if that's I don't know if it's feasible to do this tournament in the middle of the year. I've seen some conversations about that. As far as the actual gameplay and USA specifically, these managers, especially in these elimination games, man, I know D-Row has to listen to, it's people in his ear, whether it be commissioner, whether it be officials for Team USA, whether it be officials for teams. Try not to cuss. You got to hang up the phone on them when it's the final game, winner take home, and they're telling you you can't pitch your best pitcher unless it's a save situation. Even Team Venezuela, who said it worked out for Venezuela, they had the lead and they were able to put with the Valencia from the Cubs pitcher in the game. Man, what's he there for? You've been there all this time. He pitched the same amount of games as Garrett Whitlock. We're trying to win gold, man. If the White Sox or the Padres GM is gonna have resent for me and is gonna have some choice words for me after the game, oh well, I'll talk to him after I spray this champagne and take my gold medal. I am not letting them take. There was just too many hands in DeRosa. Ultimately, he takes the fall more so to me for his lineup decisions than the actual pitching decisions. But I need these teams to sort of back off and go all in. And then my last point of going all in, a guy like Tariq Skubal, a guy like Matthew Boyd, who left the tournament early, even a guy like Clayton Kershaw, who another mistake DeRosa made was not letting Clayton Kershaw pitch at all. He wasted a roster spot. Let's get people that we can actually use that actually want to play on the team. And I don't even want it to. I mean, I know we and Sim might talk about it, the passion that they show and all that. I don't even need guys to raise that bar, but let's get more guys who care and are committed. These other Venezuela, talking to them, man. We know what's going on with the United States and Venezuela. They were out there ready to die just to win that game. They do not care about the major league. They admittedly they don't care about the major league season as much as they cared about this classic. So let's get some more people to care. Let's keep this tournament at the start of the season, and then let's back off these managers and let the players play ball.
Yeah. See it, how you feel?
Um, Malik, I'm glad we've been doing this podcast together for like a year now because you're right. I'm not going to talk about baseball at all. I don't care about baseball. I care about everything else around baseball. It's beautiful. It's fantastic. I love that you know that. Um, the biggest thing from the WBC that I noticed is that, and this is going to sound so wild, white Americans do not have culture. And like, yes, they do, but like, no, they don't. So, like, one, the American sentiment of being this scrappy young team of people who are militants and want to go in and beat the big bad brown people, bro, that's so whack.
It was tired. It got tired. The SEAL Team Six guy. That was man. DeRosa took credit. He took the heat for that. He said it was his idea. I think it was definitely, even given the times, just especially given the times, I should say, it was too much focus on Aaron Judge gave the speech. You're sacrificing. You're away from your families. You're away from your. I'm like that's not the tone we should be taking for this baseball game. I think Suarez, his speech after the game, you know, was kind of like perfect and exactly what you wanted to see and what he was talking about. He's like, yo, we love this. Like, we love this game. We love this team. We love our country. That's what you wanted to see. And don't get me wrong. I know the guys do love America. Yeah, but it was just, but I agree with that 100%. It was just
the sentiment is just, it is so anti-world, I think.
Yeah.
Especially when we are trying to celebrate all of these cultures. And so, like, we can get into the history of the why. Like, America is big bro for sure. World War II, we did that. We know that's the case. We know about the 70s, the 60s, etc. We know about that. However, sports, albeit I disagree with it, I disagree with the sentiment. Sometimes stuff should simply be a celebration. Like, and again, like, we should be having those guys like bumping Limp Biscuit, like messing with like bumping Capri Suns, like having like Playboy magazines or having like MTV TRL highlights. Like, there's just, or like Britney Spears, like music, like, in the actuality of, baseball and the world and America, there's actually so much culture within the subcultures of baseball, which you can allow for people. But like, one, you need to get off the military thing. And two, you got to invite black people. You have to invite black American people. Byron Buxton, salute to service, Brody. That's just not enough. Hunter Green, he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. He should have got the invite though. Like, and this might be the wrong segment to complain about it, but like, we just need more black American players. Like, that's how we infuse these cultures. And like I said, Aaron Judge, he did a fantastic job of, trying to represent, the world and us and everything. But like, when you take the role of the world oppressor, it just makes it so difficult for us who are politically active and politically aware and so unhappy with the state of the world right now to buy into that. Like, bro, que lo que, papi? Like, we Dominican. Like, like, I want to be American right now. Like, this is so whack. But yeah, man, the WBC still rocked. Like, I had so much fun. Like, we all had fun. Like, but we gotta make it more representative of the good and not just America. Like, it can't be America versus the world. Like, it has to be all of us uniting under like one thing to say like, hey, we're here to celebrate this. Because like, we had dudes leaving, and then on the other side, Sandy Alcantara, hot removed from Tommy John. Hey, bro, I'm out there pitching. Juan Soto, who is the highest paid player in the MLB, talking about, oh yeah, the WBC means more than a World Series. Bro has 2 of them. Like, are you kidding me? Or does he have 2? No, he has 1. 1?
Yeah.
Yeah. Either way, like
And Judge
that.
dropped the ball. They lost. Remember?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I also think it was a little forced, and I don't. I mean, Judge, he's the Yankee captain, and I know that speech was terrible, um, but I feel like it's hard to speak in front of a group of men like that, and I don't know if he was the right captain. Now, am I saying that's why Team USA lost? I don't want to put that all on Judge, but a Bobby Witt. It was clearly the young guy. To me, all it shows was it's the young guys team. We saw Roman Anthony show out. We saw Bobby Witt show out.
Bobby Witt
PCA
and Gunner were so like,
yeah,
oh man,
yeah. Even a guy like I mean Terang, like those guys. It was their team, but through the whole tournament for the United States, they were the guys making the plays. And Bobby himself is already. I mean, those guys in general. A little less with Pete and Roman's got a young squad. I'm pretty sure he's the leader out of Boston, but 100% Bobby Witt has been leading a team, a crappier team than what the Yankees have, putting them on his back. And it's not Aaron Judge is a Yankee. He's kind of a villain. He's the Yankees are looked at as villains. Bobby Witt is a little more free. So, yeah, I agree. And also my last point, and I don't want to go too much in culture, but I mean, what is white culture in America that doesn't have anything to do with drugs or alcohol and frat partying? There's only I was posing the question to my friends is like I don't know what we want them to do because I want them to do something, but I'm
Tony
like
Hawk highlights, like Eminem raps, something.
Yeah.
like D12 made music.
Yeah, they'll never do that. But no,
They won't, but we need it, bro.
yeah.
Imagine dudes hitting a home run and going back to the fucking dugout. Pardon my language. Going back to the dugout and listening to like My Band or like Limp Biscuit or something. Like it would be so much fun.
Yeah, I mean, I would rather see them lean on the rock and roll than the wartime stories and stuff like that. So I agree.
Other than what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. We have a few years, depending on how this lockout goes, depending on if they decide to move the tournament. I think Malik pretty much spoke for all of us. The whole middle of the season sounds good, but it's the same thing. If teams are worried, teams are going to be worried. Especially after if I'm off to a hot start, my team's in first place. I'm supposed to take a break like hockey and let you go play and possibly get hurt. No, it's going to be tough. It's gonna be tough, but we'll see.
The four countries idea is like beautiful though. The NHL like killed it with that.
Yeah, no, that was great.
Yeah,
that was great.
Over the moon, really.
Yeah, but no. To wrap it up, what we're gonna do is we have three segments. It's really for each of us, and instead of me just posing a question, we're each gonna pose a question about the respective teams that we follow. So Malik and Sid, you don't have to go off what's actually written. But I'll pose the first question that I think is going to be something key for the Atlanta Braves this season, and that is, can this pitching staff hold up until it gets healthy? There's going to be the big question. The schedule makers did them a favor this year. You're not out in LA and San Diego to kick off the year. You played Kansas City and the Athletics, which it's so sad that they get announced like an orphan. Like they don't even say a city. It's like they're visiting Athletics. And like it was really weird, but so you had a solid series. You went 4-2. Chris Sale is your ace. Ronaldo Lopez, a lot of people were scared about him. He was sitting at 94, 95 the entire game. He hit 97 a couple times, so he played really well. Grant Holmes got the first nine batters out. Didn't have some trouble. I couldn't even say had trouble. He gave up 3 runs. He didn't get any run support, but I mean that's another guy who's gonna play well for you. Bryce Elder, he gets a lot of hate, a lot of hell online, especially. But Bryce Elder is a very solid pitcher. He did a good job. I think this is just a matter of how Walt Weiss handles this staff when they have bad games. If you get into games where you're consistently running into that bullpen and using guys, then you may run into issues. But I think you have a situation where, especially with a guy like Chris Sale, who even today he was sick, but he's truly one of the few old dogs left where he said, There are going to be days when you don't have it velocity wise, but that's when you have to up your focus and lock in. So that's what he did. He was sick. White said he expected to get, he was hoping to get 3 innings out of him. He got 6 innings, almost perfect ball. But Chris Sale is a dog, and I think Spencer Strider has been throwing before games. They say he's going to get some bullpen starts in to ramp up from that oblique injury. So if you can get Spencer back, you're dealing with a team that right now your stars aren't hitting at all, and you're sitting at 4-2. And obviously, it's a long season, but it's something where if this pitching staff can continue to give you what they're giving you right now, Didi Fuentes, the young guy, he came in the game that they lost. He gave them after Grant gave up 3. He only gave up 1 run the remaining 4 innings of the game, and it was a situation where you still have to stretch him out because he's so young. He does not have the innings yet to be a successful, competent starter in your lineup. You just be throwing them up there right now to the wolves, kind of like you did last year, what nobody wanted to do. So I think that's another thing, a situation to keep an eye on. But I think it's going to play well because you saw even in this one appearance, he looks like a guy who's more confident, who's like he understands what he has to do, he understands the work he needs to put in. So I think that's something going to be very important to watch. But I think overall, the Braves are going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay. I think they have the potential to once again be that team that when you're in the NL East, she's like, man, I really don't want to play them. And so that's my question. Sid, I'll go to you. What's your question for the Mets this year, and what's your answer?
Are the New York Mets ready to run this division? I mean, when it comes down to it, it's a very long baseball season, and seemingly and ideally, they have replaced their biggest issues. The biggest issues being length from starters and hitters and runners in scoring position. Bo Bichette is a 900 plus OPS kind of guy with runners in scoring position. His entire career, Marcus Semien is like an 838 OPS kind of guy with runners in scoring positions his entire career. And then we have like this revamped version of Luis Roberts, who is Juan Soto's best friend. So like, not only am I demanding a cop buddy movie with them, but like I'm going to be invested in that dynamic the entire year. But are they ready to run the division? Sure, why not? The Phillies are getting older and worse. The Marlins are getting the Sandy Alcantara start. Sandy Alcantara just threw a 93 pitch 9 inning shutout day, like today on April 1st. That is not an April Fool's joke. And they're starting off pretty hot. I think they only have 1 or 2 losses. But the Mets, they're struggling, and they are not favorable with the schedule makers. We're already on our first road trip of the year. We dropped our first series in St. Louis. Plus, we're heading out west to see the Giants and the Diamondbacks, I'm pretty sure, and the Rockies. So I think the Mets are ready to run the division, but there's going to have to be some answers. How much, Freddie Peralta, he is a guaranteed 5-6 inning guy every time. How much gas are you going to get out of Freddie Peralta? How much is Nolan McLean going to improve when it comes to taking this heralded third starter spot? Is Clay Holmes going to continue to be good as a starter, who also had a great outing in the WBC? Is Kodai Senga going to be able to stay healthy? Had a good outing against the Cardinals yesterday. I'm pretty sure he had 9 Ks. It was only accounted for 2 runs, but the Mets offense is the Mets offense no matter what. And so we squandered that. But yeah, I think this team is ready. They are constructed to be so. And yeah, they have no choice but to be ready. It's either that or concede the division to the Braves. And if that is something that continues to happen, David Stearns will probably be on a hotter seat than he is familiar with.
Yeah, no, that's real. Hey, Malik, bro, bring us on. What's going on down in Texas, man? What's some questions you got about the Rangers and how you feeling right now?
Man, a little more optimistic than I was coming into the offseason, I'll say. Sis guy, Brandon Nemo, I think he's had a nice effect. I know we talked about how he didn't feel like he was the leader in New York. I feel like he's kind of putting his stamp early on this team. Great leadoff at bats. Something that the Rangers hadn't seen for nearly 2 seasons, specifically last season. I know Simeon was in the leadoff role for the first 20 games, but there wasn't anybody on the roster that could really feel that take pitches, sort of fight off, work the count type of plate appearances. And I mean, seeing good stuff from Corey Seager early on in this year. Wyatt Langford starting to heat up. My biggest question for the team, though, I'm going to go with the back half of the rotation and how good can these guys be? Fantastic start. What was that? Monday night from Jack Leiter. I believe he had his most swing and misses in a major league start against the Baltimore Orioles. Jacob Latz, a guy. He's not a young guy. He's 30, I believe, this season. He was in the minors for a long time, but a guy that was highly coveted by the Rangers, former Blue Jay. But before he was drafted by the Blue Jays, the Rangers were in on him. Jacob deGrom wakes up with a sore neck. And the guy's able to go, of course, into Philly, hostile territory, on no days. He woke up in the morning, he didn't know he would start. He goes into Philly and he throws a fantastic start. I've seen him deal toe-to-toe with Scooble. I've seen him do it multiple times. So he's a guy that he's sort of a swingman in the bullpen right now because of another he's kind of a former Met, Kumar Rocker, who he hasn't made his debut. He'll make his debut Saturday after we drop this episode. But they thought so highly of him over Jacob Latz that they put him in the starting rotation. Can Kumar Rocker earn that spot in the rotation? Can Jack Leiter sort of become a maybe number 2-3 starter this year? And then the last guy I'll bring up is Mackenzie Gore. Of course, the former Washington Nationals ace. He's out here in Texas. He had he got the Rangers their first win Saturday afternoon. But I haven't watched a ton of Mackenzie Gore. So seeing, is he going to be a guy who could, get on that ace level with Evo and deGrom, or is that a guy that, Jack Leiter can pass up? Either way, plenty of rotational depth. It's just how successful can these guys be? If they're able to do that, I think that takes pressure off of Evaldi, he had 2 rough starts to start the season. And Jacob deGrom, who he made his 30 starts last year. But the early neck injury has me nervous. I think he was running away from facing the number 2 pitcher. Right? He went 5th in the rotation last year. Now he's slated at like 4. No, he's 5th. He's 5th again. Can he stay healthy? But if not, these young guys at the back half of the rotation, I feel like if they can have a solid season, the Rangers will be all right. I know we'll talk about what we're doing this weekend, but the Seattle Mariners are in town, and I believe we're going to get to see all 3 of those young pitchers I mentioned. Mackenzie Gore for the home open. No, I'm sorry. The Reds are here first, and then the Mariners are here after. But we see those 3 young guys over the weekend: Mackenzie Gore, Kumar Rocker, Jack Leiter. Let's see what they can do. And then the series against Seattle, a team that they've struggled with the last 2 years. I think those series against Seattle and Houston Astros, that all 3 of those teams, the whoever comes out of that triple threat match, that's who's going to win the American League West.
Yeah, bro.
Do you know who Jacob deGrom gave his first home run up to this year?
Oh, Mr. Pistol Pete Alonso, was it?
It don't hit the same.
Yeah, that's your guy.
Yeah,
It was the same, bro.
I know you saw all the what? Wasn't Jankowski's a former Met over there too? All of them
Bro,
hanging out on first base.
Bro. Yeah. Yo, it's a hate watch every single time. Oh my god.
Yeah. But nah, bro, it's definitely gonna be a great season in all 3 cities we just mentioned. Braves are out of town this week, so I'll be playing golf. But other than that, man, it was great to be back in the building with you guys. Like you said, we're gonna hold it down until Courtney's return. You know where to follow us all at, man. We've been here long enough. No need to say all of that. Anything you want to hear from us, please let us know. Please let us know. Follow us at Barbershare Co. on Twitter and IG. Man, subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbershare Network. And all things Barbershare Network, as usual. Make sure you check out thebcnet.com. Until next week, Dante, Malik, Syde, we'll holler at you, man. Y'all be easy.
Yeah.